Afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday the 4th of February. We continue with Robert Murray McShane's reading, and today we read Job chapter 3. It begins after this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. He'd reached a situation where he said, "Why was I even born?" His suffering, his anguish was that deep. But I was struck by the end of the previous chapter, where his three friends come to be with him. And we're told, when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. That struck me. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. Our tendency, well, certainly my tendency, is to say words. If you go to a place where there's people in anguish, I want to say things, I want to do things, I want to make everything better. And I think that's our general tendency. We want to improve the situation. We want to help them. And so often when we do that, we just make the situation worse, because there's nothing worse than being in anguish and great despair and having somebody come and essentially pat you on the back and say, there, it's not that serious. You say, no, it is so serious, you just don't get it. His friends got it right. They just sat with him. They wept with him. They said nothing. They were just there. And that reminded me of that song, Brother, Sister, Let Me Serve You, where there's a verse that says, I will weep when you are weeping. When you laugh, I laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we've seen this journey through. And as Christians, that is what we need to do. We need to just be alongside people. And one looks at Jesus. His incarnation was exactly this: God coming and being alongside us in our brokenness, in our loss, in our disaster. He came to be with us and then to deal with this situation. We think of Jesus going to the home of Martha and Mary after Lazarus has died. As you read through it, he doesn't give them trite words of consolation. They argue with him, they shout with him, they say, God, if you'd only been here, things would have been different. And he doesn't lecture them, he doesn't read Psalms to them or anything like that. He's just with them and he weeps with them. And so as Christians, that's what we need to do. We need to be present with people, and we need to be prepared to, like Job's friends, sit with them, weep with them, and wait. There will come a time when the person will be receptive to words of encouragement or to words of hope. But we mustn't barge in thinking we have that for them to start with. So if you are in a place of despair and anguish and suffering, our hearts go to you. And we can't be with you in person, but we would sit with you and weep with you. And if you're not in the position like that, but you know other people that are, go and be with them. And so often we avoid because I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just go and be. Go and say, I really, really feel for you. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I'm here with you. So be encouraged to spread that kind of deep, deep love where it is needed, because that is the love that God gives to us. And we don't love out of our strength, but we share the love we've received from him with people in their anguish. So be challenged, be encouraged, be blessed.